Arsenal have just beaten Manchester United 3-1 at the Emirates in a game that saw penalty claims reversed, a game that saw an offside decision go against Manchester United, as well as two late goals that saw Arsenal vault themselves back into the title conversation. Hi, my name is Izzy, and if you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. Now we are going to touch on the ins and outs of the game that took place at the Emirates today, and if Arsenal were really worth their 3 points. Now, in the lead up to this game, much of the conversation had lingered around Manchester United's inability to win away from home against the top 9 teams in the league. And as came to pass, this game was much more of the same. Arsenal seemed to be very trepidatious about trying to approach Manchester United. And in a game that usually Arsenal would dominate possession, they seemed to cede a lot of space to Manchester United defenders. They did not press as aggressively as they usually do. I don't know if it is something to do with Arteta's new men and they're still learning the system that he wants to play, or whether this was a direct game plan to try and not get caught out by Manchester United. We've seen Arteta teams in the past try to aggressively command the game at the beginning, and we have seen them fall victim to teams such as Fulham a couple of weeks ago. That was kind of a striking thing that I noticed in the beginning part of this game. As the match wore on, Arsenal seemed to have the better of the opportunities, and Kai Havertz had a chance, which he unfortunately miscued, and the ball just rolled over. Kai Havertz is a player who is still dividing a lot of pundits and fans alike, and this is a game that Arteta trusted him enough to keep him in the starting lineup. An injury to Thomas Partey made him miss this match, and so he did decide to go back to a conventional back four. Gabriel came back into the team. So the first 25 minutes or so were back and forth. You would feel as though Arsenal were trying to feel out Manchester United, and Manchester United did not want to commit to any rampant attacks just in case they would be overwhelmed by Arsenal's attacking force. And so duly, against the run of play, Marcus Rashford scored a tremendous goal, and Arsenal at this point must be tired of seeing this guy. This is what happened last season as well. Arsenal's riposte was swift as it was sweet, because about a minute later, Arsenal were tied with Martin Odegaard waving his wand of a left foot, making the game 1-1. Thereafter, the game kind of went into a bit of a lull, a back and forth. The game ebbed on slightly, with Manchester United looking very comfortable on the ball. Even more surprisingly, by halftime, Manchester United had majority of the possession. And so I don't know if this was a plan by Arteta to lull Manchester United into a sense of trying to attack the game a lot more, because the obvious game plan that Manchester United would have come into this game was to expect Arsenal to be on the front foot and so try and be on the counterattack. However, after the second half began, Arsenal did try to press up the field a little bit more. You could see Martin Odegaard trying to hash and, harry a lot of his players onto the Manchester United defenders. Arsenal still did give Manchester United space, and though they did shade the first half, the second half was much more of an even display. And when Kai Havertz went down for a penalty that was given and then taken away, which rightfully was taken away, there was no infringement in my opinion, and it's a good thing that VAR actually did their job today. That was definitely not a penalty. However, it seemed as though Arsenal were lacking something in trying to push forward the game. They seemed to be the more cohesive of the two teams, understandably so, but Manchester United's defensive resolve was very, very good in this game. And that is why when they eventually looked to have grabbed the winner in the 87th minute after Garnacho sprinted ahead and slotted the ball past Aaron Ramsdale, Arsenal fans could have feared for the worst. And the decision, which still has some people up in arms, of an offside, which I also believe was the right decision. Only just. It was a very marginal call, but only just because Gabriel managed to lean back and prevent himself from playing Garnacho onside. Manchester United would have crowned this as a very good result had they ended up going up 2-1 winners at the end. However, games like these are usually very marginal in a lot of the decisions. And while Manchester United were well worth a point in this game, usually certain decisions that just go against you tend to either embolden the home side or just give the players a little bit more of belief. And when Declan Rice slotted Arsenal's second goal, Manchester United were dejected. And you could see even after that, they did try to push forward and equalize, but it was a little bit too late. Arsenal's substitutes did make this game a lot more compelling towards the end, and Fabio Vieira should be knocking on the door right now for a start. He is very good in transitional plays, and one thing that I noticed is he is very progressive, extremely dynamic, and the third goal was all of his own doing. His quickness to let go of the ball reminded me of the goal that he assisted in last season when Arsenal beat Aston Villa 4-2 away. He was very quick at letting go of the ball and spotted Jesus so fast there was no question of offside, and Arsenal won 3-1. Now, on to what I really think about the game. I think Manchester United should feel a little bit hard done by the result. It was not a comfortable game whatsoever for Arsenal, and Manchester United were well worth a point. They deserved a point from this game. Arsenal should consider themselves extremely lucky. They beat Manchester United, but the game was not a shoo-in at all. So where does this leave both clubs? Arsenal will be happy going into the international break. A draw could have made them lose momentum at this point because, as I've said before, you do not want to be too far off of Manchester City, especially when they're in this rich vein of form. So as far as Manchester United are concerned, Højlund made his debut today, and he did seem lively. He is very physical, and I think Manchester United will hope to integrate him into the first team. He does offer something different from what Martial offers, and he, I think, will be a success at Manchester United if he is fed the type of balls that would make him excel. He is very physical. He was able to push Gabriel around a lot, and he won a lot of those balls. And Ten Hag thought that he should have had a penalty. I do not think that was a penalty at all, but you can understand the emotions that he would have after a game of such magnitude that Manchester United presented and comported themselves very well. It was a very harsh game on Manchester United to soak in. Marcus Rashford was a positive in the game. He just has this ability to split defenses a lot. He's very pacey. He did have to deal with Ben White as a conventional defender today. And last season, in some ways, he put him on toast. He was very good in this game, despite not being at the forefront of a lot of things. Bruno Fernandes was a little bit anonymous. I didn't hear too much coming from him in this game, and that might be a little bit worrying because Bruno Fernandes just doesn't seem to show up that much in a lot of these big games. And while Manchester United comported themselves very well defensively, in the midfield, they don't seem to have that much going on for them. So Eriksen was okay. Casemiro was okay. They were very organized, but they did not seem as though they could trouble Arsenal a lot. And a lot of the play that Manchester United made was off of the wings. So an unfortunate game for Man United. I think they deserved a point. If I'm not usually one to talk about, hey, well, you can take the positives from this game and whatnot or whatever, but I do think that there were genuine positives from Manchester United in this game because they did not play as badly as they did against Nottingham Forest or against Wolves, and certainly didn't lose the game as badly as they did against Tottenham. I think Arsenal just shaded the game, and the decisions that marginally went away from Manchester United resulted in Arsenal winning the game. Home form and home support is extremely important right now, and the fact that Arsenal were able to push through and get the win will help them in this stead and hopefully take away some of the criticism from some of the team that they had last week, especially Kai Havertz, who is still struggling with a lot of confidence issues, and we still are yet to see the best of him in any capacity. He didn't really do much. He made a couple of good runs in the game, but not enough for you to sit back and understand why Arsenal shelled 65 million pounds for him. I still do think that there's a huge player in there. I think once he's able to understand his team's tactics and understand the runs that are being made by his wingers, as well as combining well with Odegaard and Rice in that midfield, or maybe Thomas Partey, and at times Jorginho, he might be able to show us the best of what he still has. Do not give up on Kai Havertz yet, Arsenal fans. It's still a long season, and he might still be able to win you over. This might not have been the game. It was a little bit too big for him, but eventually he will do well. As far as Manchester United, their defensive woes are starting to pile on them, with Martinez going off and Varane already injured. Manchester United might need to be worried a bit about that. This is going to be a moment for Manchester United to catch their breath and try to understand what has not been working out for them in the first few games this season. And hopefully they don't fall away too fast for the Manchester United faithful. In comparison to last season, they had lost 2 games by this point. So you just hope that they will get it together at some point. I don't, because I'm an Arsenal fan, but I was extremely delighted to see us win this game today. That's all I got for right now, and I promise I will be back with a more detailed review of this weekend's fixtures. Peace.